Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel. I'm Cerise, and this is Storytime. Oh, I want to tell you, I just going to give shouts out to Juan, who gave me a little WhatsApp message today and said, Cerise, do a story time. So this one's for you, Juan. Alrighty, so there's a guy named Walter, there's a guy named Rick, and there is a woman named, let's call her Betsy. Okay? So Walter and Rick, they were, oh, by the way, let me give you a little disclaimer here. If you are against any type of, LGBT or whatever that is called, with all the initials, I apologize. LBGT, I think it is, and it's changed. Whatever. You have any kind of homophobic and tendencies or anything, this story is not for you. Okay? So the three of them are now, in the story. Okay. So the two of them, Rick and Walter, they were lovers. Now, this is before Betsy even got in the picture. They were lovers, and people kind of suspected it, but they weren't really aware of the fact that they were not just best friends. They really were lovers, right? Okay. So Walter decides that he has to go back to America. He's living in the Dominican Republic, and he decides he has to go back to America. And the reason why is for health reasons. He's a lot older than Rick. Betsy moved to the Dominican Republic, and she was living on the same street as Rick. So her and Rick, they started to spend some time together. They started to get to know each other a lot more and really like each other. And then Rick, I guess, forgot that he was into men and that he had a boyfriend. And he forgot to also tell Betsy about it. Now, he started to really enjoy Betsy, but he said to Betsy that he was going through a divorce, which he was. And let me back up on that one, actually. He was going through a divorce. He was married, and what happened was he ended the marriage because the woman always wanted too much money. She was always yelling. She was always complaining. He could never do enough. But that was probably because he wasn't emotionally involved. And even though he was providing for her a wonderful home and the business that they had, and she had vehicles at her fingertips, it still wasn't enough, because for her, he just wasn't invested emotionally. And that's what she was sensing more or less of. And so he was like, I can never make you happy. And then he broke up with her, and he actually moved in with Walter. Okay, Walter was renting one of Rick's apartments. And so when Rick moved out of the wife's house, he moved in with Walter, okay, on his own property. And Walter knew that Rick was married before. Walter knew that Rick was, enjoying a man, right? Because Walter and Rick were already involved in a relationship at this time. And that's probably why the wife didn't pick up on, the love that she was supposed to have, because he was more into Walter. So now he's going through the divorce from his wife. And this is when Walter goes to America, and now Betsy comes into the picture. And now he forgets that he's into men. And he befriends Betsy. He becomes such a close friend to her. They do everything together. He drives her to Santiago. He drives her to Santo Domingo. He helps her get around. Slowly they start to become lovers. And then eventually she's sleeping at his place all the time. He's sleeping at hers. And the whole street can see them hanging around each other. But they don't say anything. And nothing was even mentioned about Walter. So now Walter gets back. And when he gets back, he sees Betsy. And he's like, oh, well, she's a beautiful young lady, and she's vibrant, and she has a lot of energy. And what's she all about? Why is she hanging around all the time? Now, Rick has a shop. And in his shop, he sells clothing and shoes and stuff of that nature. And he's always there. Now, Walter used to always be there before he went to America for his time to go there for health reasons and, to renew stuff. And, he is an only child. He's older. His parents are gone, so he has no brothers or sisters, no nieces, and absolutely no nephews. So he's an only person, and he has to go back and, check in every now and again in America. So that's what he was doing for all those months. But he gets back, and that's when he sees Betsy, and Betsy just thinks to him, oh, he's like an uncle to Rick. Rick said, oh, this is like my uncle. He lives with me. And even before Walter, came back, Betsy did know, she did hear about an uncle that lives with Rick. So Rick said that his uncle lives with him, but he's in America now. He did not tell her that this older man that was so-called an uncle was a gringo, a Caucasian man. Okay, like he didn't tell her that. She just thought he was a Dominican man, an uncle that went to America. So when Walter came, she was surprised. She was like, oh, okay, he's an older white man. All right. And, she just rolled with it. She didn't realize the two were lovers. And then, she wasn't jealous at all. She didn't think anything of it. So now, all of a sudden, Walter can pick up on it. Walter's like, you're into women again. And Rick was like, well, she's beautiful. And I really like her, and she really helps me at the shop, and she's great because she stays there all day. Like Betsy started to work there all day in the shop for Rick. Rick would go out, do things, do whatever. And then when she needed something, he'd be right there for her, like right there. And it wasn't the same with Walter. So Walter could see that Rick loved or was falling in love with Betsy. And he could see that Betsy was falling in love with Rick. Now, Rick and Betsy had everything on the down low. People were thinking it, they saw it, but they didn't say anything. They just kept their mouths quiet. Okay, now Betsy wasn't saying anything about it because Betsy didn't want to make the divorce between Rick and his wife bad. So she was only saying that they were friends, even to Walter, because she didn't want Walter to turn. You see, Rick said, make sure you don't tell Walter our special connection, like what we have. And she was like, why? And he said, because Walter likes my ex-wife. He knows her and he really likes her, and he wouldn't want to know that I'm with someone else now. Oh, wasn't that slick? And she was like, oh, okay. So she didn't say anything to Walter. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, Walter can't even stand the wife and was so happy that Rick left. Okay, so now Rick has what? His wife that he's divorcing. He has Betsy on the side, and he has Walter on the side. Finally, Walter says to him, listen, I'm not a fool. I've been around the bend long enough. I can tell that you're really into this woman. So you have a choice. A, you either leave her and you stay with me, or B, you be real with me and I move out and I go get my own place somewhere, or you move in with her and you and I will have time together whenever we can, because I get it. I get that, you like both. And so he was like, really, Walter? Walter was like, listen, I'm an older man and I've been around the bend. I rather honesty. I rather you fulfill your heart, be happy, go be with her. She's a nice young lady. But be honest with me. I'm an old man, but I'm not an old fool. And you know what? Rick was like, wow. All right, cool. He's like, well, what should I do? And he said, Walter said, do you love this woman? And Rick was like, yeah, I do. I think I do, but I love you too. Like, I just feel like I'm comfortable with you, but she brings me so much passion and fire. And then he said, then go be with her. Go live with her. You're at her house all the time, I heard. Right? A lot of people were speaking to Walter at this point. And he's like, I heard the relationship that you guys have. And you're always at her place, so why don't you just be with her and go live with her and come visit me and be with me when you can. I don't need a lot of time, but just some time. I need to know that you're coming and you're seeing me every day or every couple of days, and for how long. Just let me know how long I got you for. And wow, Rick was like, holy. Now, of course, Walter was, helping him out as well financially. if that's what some of you guys are wondering, when there's an older man involved and he's wealthy and he has money, is he helping out? Yes, he was financially, but he also was invested in the business. So he didn't mind though, he was just like, go do your thing. So now he fast forward and he listens to Walter. Rick moves in with Betsy and they have their great relationship. But then he started to miss Walter. Betsy had a lot of demands and she always wanted to go somewhere and do something. And she would say to him, you know what, let's go do this excursion or that excursion. But he was more or less into business and he was just more or less into a laid back lifestyle. And he was accustomed to that anyway because he was with Walter for 7 years before Betsy showed up. I should say that. And they really just chilled and traveled the country together and everything. And he even took Rick out of the country a few times during their relationship and gave him a tour around Europe and everything. So they shared quite a close relationship, Walter and Rick. And openly in Europe, when they were in Europe, they were openly a couple. So even though Rick experienced that with Walter, he felt like all that was just coming to an end. And once he met Betsy, he was like, this woman is on fire. I love her. You know what? Okay, I'm ready. And so, he had his business down pat. He's good. Went through his divorce now. And him and Betsy are living together. Everyone knows it now. But now he can't stay away from Walter, and he goes to Walter's place every single day, and he's just hanging out with Walter, just chilling with him. And she, at first, didn't mind. She was like, well, where are you going? Who are you with? And so at first, he was taking her with him to Walter's because he didn't want to make her panic, and he didn't want her to get all, jealous and everything. And then she herself stopped going with him. He'd be like, I'm going over to Walter's. You want to come? And she'd be like, no, all you guys do is sit there and watch the TV. Like, no, it's boring. I'll stay here. I'll wait for you here. And he would go over and make his visit to Walter. And then that's when they would have their relationship. That's what they'd like doing together. Just time together was beautiful for the two of them. So now, fast forward, one day he is over at Walter's and he comes down with the flu and he starts sneezing. Walter gives him a pill and Walter says, here, take this, antihistamine type of thing and just lay down for a minute, because he was going to be at Walter's for a couple of hours anyway. But what happened was the day turned into night. And he woke up with a headache and he was on the couch and he's like, oh my gosh, And he just immediately went in the bed with Walter. And he missed sleeping with Walter. And Walter missed sleeping with him. So he thought, you know what, just lay in the bed for just a little bit more. And then he's going to get up and go home to Betsy. Well, they ended up being intimate. And guess what? Betsy and her woman investigator self found out what was going on because she looked through the window. She was watching the whole time. I gotta tell you, women, your intuition, when it's on point, don't also, your relationship's being sacrificed. Don't sacrifice your dignity. She should have just looked at that and just left. But what did she do? She saw it right through the window. They must have had a night light on or some TV was on or whatever, right? And she could see what was going on and she was shocked. She went right out. She slashed the tires on the cars and then she went out and did some things around the house. She cut some wires, like telephone wires and the pipeline going into the kitchen for the propane tank. And then she also just went and she got back into her vehicle and took off, and then she waited for him to get home. He got home. She didn't say anything to him. Betsy didn't even let on that she knew what was going on. And then he got home, and he's like, sorry, I spent the night. And she's like, oh, okay, everything all right? And he said, yeah. She's like, well, why didn't you contact me? And he's like, oh, the electricity was all out. I charged my cell phone and everything, but when I was leaving, the electricity was out, and I couldn't just leave Walter there without any electricity. And she's like, oh, really? Okay. And then again, some time passed, a couple of weeks, and she decided that she was just going to show up but she wasn't catching them at all because it was during daytime hours and they were just sitting down, smoking a cigar together on the veranda. They just looked like buddies, literally, to her. And so when she was second guessing herself, she was like, did I see that? What I saw that night? Did I really see it? And then so what she did was she set up a phone call from her friend. And what she did was she contacted the old man. She contacted Walter, the friend did, and she said, hi, this is one of the popular hotels in the Dominican Republic. She said, this is one of the popular hotels in the Dominican Republic, and you are getting a weekend free. You can bring a friend, and this is what you get, all inclusive. Yes, Betsy was footing the bill. Betsy pretended like Walter was winning some type of a, weekend free at a wonderful all-inclusive hotel resort. And he went, and guess what? She knew he was going to take his lover. And when they went together, she made sure that she had cameras in the bedroom beforehand. Okay? She was taking different videos from different angles that she had set up in that room. And she bought all those little cameras at a little shop, like a camera shop here, like a computer shop. She put them all in different corners. She had them connected to her phone. And then she uploaded everything to TikTok, everything to Instagram, and everything on a YouTube channel, and everything on Facebook. Everything on Facebook, on different groups, private groups. She posted on different groups that she was a part of and everything. Oh, it was horrendous. And all she could do was pretend it wasn't her. But that's what happened. At the end of the day, they tried to sue the hotel, and they couldn't, because the hotel was like, sorry, there's like absolutely no cameras, blah, 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 blah. It had to be someone that offered you the room, because we were not doing any promotions. And they were like, Walter was like, no, someone called from your hotel with a promotion. Like, this is not paid for by me or my boyfriend here. And they were like, sorry, Rick and Walter, you were set up. You should have came to the front desk. And that was it. They said, we did come to the front desk. And they were like, when? And they said to let them know that we checked in. And they knew exactly where to usher us. And the owner of the hotel said, listen, of the resort, when we do any type of promotion, we meet you at the front with a drink. We put you in the highest hotel room possible, and we make sure you are pampered. Everything was paid for, but that's only if you want room service or anything of that nature. When we give you something free like this, it would be almost like a celebration, and it wouldn't just only be you. It would be a group of people. So somebody set you up, and you need to find out who on your own. And that was it. And guess what? Walter ended up just getting completely sick and embarrassed because Rick wouldn't have anything to do with him any longer. Rick was embarrassed as well. Rick went into a deep, deep depression. Nobody has seen him since, but his businesses are still being ran by his employees. Everyone knows he's alive, and he just is sticking in the house. He gets delivery for food, he cooks, he gets his groceries delivered, and all he does is just sit in his backyard because he's too embarrassed to go out on the street. They're waiting, he's waiting for the noise to go down and for people to stop talking about it. But he so far has had some of the stuff, been able to have it deleted from some of the internet, but he doesn't know where else some of the videos are at, like private groups. She put it everywhere. He's still with her, Betsy, and him, and Betsy has him right where she wants him. In the backyard all the time, never leaves the house, and Betsy loves it. But at the same time, it's a sad situation. Tell me what you think about it down below in the comments. Alrighty, guys, take care. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm Cerise, and this is Storytime.